welcome to the Dead Bedroom Revival Podcast. My name is Curry, your host, and today I'm excited to be making this episode. The reason why is because I'm going on a marathon of episodes. I'm getting flooded of questions, and the questions have come in faster than I can make the content. So I need to start. I've decided that I'm going to have to make content. Instead of just making one episode a day, I should just make a flood of content, and then so that it's already ready to go. So it's already scheduled to come out. So definitely we're now having an episode every single day coming out. And I'll be answering all sorts of questions, and hopefully they're answering your question because you've come here and you've seen the title, and hopefully this answers the question. So today's question is, when to walk away from a sexless marriage? And usually this is the feeling that you start feeling that, okay, this thing is never going to change. So you've been in this marriage for some time, maybe you've got kids, but you're not feeling sort of depressed, you're feeling unwanted, you're feeling unattractive, and you're probably feeling like you're just living with a friend or just somebody, this evil human being who at once upon a time told you that they love you, and probably they're still telling you that they love you, and they want to maybe sometimes even hug you, give you some kisses, but when it comes to the other stuff where you are about to have sex, it's a big no, and it's a mind fuck basically, and that's how I would describe it. It's a mind fuck that somebody can tell you that they love you and be affectionate, but then yet you feel so lonely and you don't feel like that's the way. And I know the feeling because I've had that feeling before, and it feels like there's no end, and you start considering, is my happiness worth staying in this relationship? Because then again, when one of the things that you start considering is, can I afford a divorce? Can I afford for my children to not have a dad around the house? And what would be the situation like? How is she going to react to the divorce? Is she going to make it difficult for me with the children? Is it... you start going through all these things, and then you think about your family and what are they going to think, and there's all these things that are going through, and really it's just normal feeling to want to leave the actual relationship. But I would stop you and say the effort that is required to actually leave the relationship, and the effort that is required to really go through all of this is probably the same effort you can put to actually fixing this, because there is a way of fixing it. And if you've gone through the internet and you've read some of the advice like I did, I went and started reading advice, and I tried everything and it never seemed to work. So they say sit your spouse down and then have a conversation. That didn't work, because all it did was create this negative environment. So when I'm trying to speak, she feels attacked, and then she goes on the defense. Sometimes it would be a case of she understands what I'm trying to say, and then she would feel sorry for me, and then that would not even motivate her to feel attracted to me at the same time, which was pretty weird, because you've sat down, you've poured out your feelings, you think maybe there's going to be some sort of kiss, and then that kiss would lead to something, and then all of a sudden you've got this mind-blowing sort of intimate session. But nothing like that would happen. She would feel sorry for me, and then a week would go, 2 weeks, and then nothing really changes. And then the other one would be, well, you are not affectionate, you haven't taken me out for dates, you haven't been doing anything romantic, so talking to somebody is a complete bad idea. So I ended up finding out that the issue wasn't the fact that I was doing all of that. The issue was I was part of the problem to that dead bedroom. I was the problem as well, and I contributed to it. In fact, a sexless marriage, it takes two to make a sexless marriage. It's not just the low libido of your wife that you think, okay, the wife is now got low libido, and then therefore it's her fault. But if you stop and then you look, you actually realize that there's certain things that you've done to contribute to it. And if you bear with me, one of them is definitely what I used to do, and what most guys do. They do this half-hearted attempt of seduction, which is usually they sit up with the spouse, maybe they rub their legs, maybe rub their back, and then somehow their hand sort of finds their way to their breast, and then they sort of start sort of fondling their breasts, and then maybe you go down to her pants, and then at that point you're ready to go, which is the worst thing you can do, because you can do it a few times and she might go along with it a few times, but over a period of years that becomes really boring very quickly, and it becomes not as exciting to go to have sex, and doesn't become as fun. And sometimes most guys, when they do have sex, it's more to get rid of stress and to alleviate stress. And because the reason why is because when you were feeling lonely when you're younger, when you started experiencing porn, you used it to, as a coping mechanism. So you now feel like this human being that you got married to is some coping mechanism, some sort of way of getting rid of your stress and doing all of that stuff. And this is one of the things that really starts becoming, not your fault, but it's one of those things that is a key killer of passion within a relationship, because of how we view the sex, how we view the experience, and how it's more of a taking experience, and she feels like you're just taking and there's no mutual benefit with having sex. So that's one of the reasons. And when you start seeing it from that perspective, you actually see that you probably need to do some work. And if you want to learn what sort of work you need to do, you go to www.deadbedroomrevival.com, and you'll be able to get a link to a Facebook group, also a free guide for seduction, but also a free link to a Facebook group. And that Facebook group will be giving more trainings on really what you need to do in order to really reverse your sexless relationship or marriage. So again, when it comes to when to walk away, you probably love this person and you think the world of them. The effort of actually getting away is probably more than the effort that is required to actually work on it. And one of the things that you would do to work on it is actually start working on yourself. So in my experience, it was more of because I had been rejected for so long and so many times, I started building an anxiety around sex. So I'd been rejected a few times, and then because I was going into the seduction process expecting to be rejected, I gave off a vibe. And this is probably woo-woo to most people. They think, oh, what are you talking about? But just think about it. It's like usually when you walk in on the street, and I don't know which part of the world you're from, but if you're walking on the street and then somebody was trying to sell you something, usually they sort of say, excuse me, and they try and stop you. And all of a sudden you feel this weirdness that comes over you. It's because they are expecting you to say, I don't want to, because they're expecting you to say, no, thank you, or go away from me. They come with that nervous vibe, and that's what you feel before you actually hear what they have to say. And that's the exact same thing. When you come with that sort of feeling of I'm potentially going to get rejected, it just gives a weird feeling about it. And then all of a sudden she's like, no, I don't want. And it's, in fact, this comes from the body language type stuff, because you're, I think something like 90-something% of your communication is non-verbal. What that means is that your voice tone, your body language, all of that creates the communication. So if you're nervous and you're about to say something, that actually comes across with what you're about to say and what you're about to do. And therefore, if you're nervous and you've got anxiety around seduction, that would actually cause the other person to feel awkward, and it will not progress the seduction process. So this is one of the things that you would have to consider. And then that pain of rejection that you've faced is probably the thing that's probably continuing the cycle. And one of the ways of breaking that cycle is actually just letting go. Just admit that she's not going to have sex with you, and then start focusing on yourself. And you focus on yourself as in you start finding things that make you feel happy. When you come into your house and you found things that make you happy, for me, it's doing Muay Thai, it's doing my business, working on my business. It's all this stuff. These things make me feel happy. And when I come home and I feel happy, it's infectious. Infectious for my wife, for my children, and it creates an environment where people are happy. So even the jobs that she says she's stressed about, the jobs that she's saying is a lot of jobs, and because I've got this list of jobs, sex has gone below to the lowest part of the list. When she's cheerful, when she's happy to do it without feeling this stress, and it's all this stress that she's already feeling from life. Is when you can come in and just remove that stress because you're happy and you can make her feel happy, that actually starts elevating the sex in terms of the priority. So the priority of sex actually starts going up because you're giving off this amazing vibe within that relationship. So thank you very much for listening. For more information, go to www.deadbedroomrevival.com and you'll be able to get more training. So you'll get a link to a Facebook group, and once you get to the Facebook group, we'll be able to start coaching you on different tactics that you need to actually really do this. So thank you very much for listening. I'll be seeing you soon. Take care.